Hello students, welcome to your video about Chapter 5 and about online activity number 3. This chapter is concerned with audience and purpose, and its intention is to help you learn how to identify your audience's needs and to hone in on what the purpose of your document or your visual content is. So I need you to think about several things after you have read the chapter and when you're processing its information. You need to always think about your audience's interests and needs. You need to appeal to those. So you're going to appeal to those through textual and visual rhetoric. That means your persuasive strategies. You need to make the content in your textual and visual documents understandable, and you need to motivate your readers or your viewers to pay attention or to act. So think about what your purpose is in any content that you're creating, whether it's an instruction set, a procedures document, or an informational video. Even in your resume, you have to be guided by what your purpose is. Is your purpose to explain? Is your purpose to get your reader or your viewer to carry out a task? Is your purpose to convince someone about why something is good or bad? Or are you intending to change your audience's attitudes? If you know what your purpose is, that will guide your content creation. So there are a lot of ways that you can learn about your audience. There's some very prescriptive or prescribed ways. One of those that your book discusses is an audience profile sheet, and be sure that you look at the example of that in your book. There are other ways that are a little bit more organic. You would think about these and you would take notes on your computer or in a notebook as you were collecting information as a lead up to creating your content. So you need to be sure that you know a lot of facts about your readers, your viewers, your users. So some of those facts are: what is your audience's education? What is your audience's professional experience? Their job responsibilities? Are they a lower rank employee or a higher rank employee? Are they a decision maker? Or do they have to go through a chain of command before they can make a decision? What are their personal characteristics? Are there certain things from an accessibility standpoint that you need to keep in mind, in fact, have front of mind as you're creating? For example, do they have low vision, or are there some other characteristics that you need to bear in mind, like perhaps their age? Are there personal preferences? Like, does your user like something on paper, like something in large font, like to hear something in an audio format or view it in a video format? Those are their preferences. And of course, you need to pay attention to cultural characteristics, and we'll come back to cultural characteristics at the end of this video. Your book elaborates on all of these features, and I want you to read those explanations carefully. There are also many tiers of readers. In fact, when you submit your resume for a job, it's not that the decision maker reads your resume at first blush as the first recipient. Often it goes through human resources and then a chain of command before it gets to the person who actually makes the decision. Same goes for if you send an informational memo to your boss or to a supervisor at a corporation. Sometimes it goes through various levels of readership. So the primary reader is the person to whom you're writing. That is your main target audience. But sometimes there's a secondary reader, like a colleague or somebody in a peer group at another organization. And then there are tertiary readers. Sometimes those are government agencies or other kinds of oversight agencies who might have something to do with your document. You need to think about the needs of all of these tiers of readers, and that requires you to think carefully about various layers of purpose. So you need to also think about how your readers are going to use your document. This is called context of use. What is the way that they're going to use it? Are they going to file it? Are they going to skim it? Are they going to modify it? Perform a test as a result of it? And what more might they do? What is their reading skill level? What is the physical environment in which they're going to read your document? Are they going to read it out in the rain? Are they going to read it in the wind? Are they going to use a print copy or a digital copy? And that brings us to the next one. What is the digital environment in which they're going to read the document? Are they going to read it on a handheld device? Are they going to read it on a large format tablet? Are they going to read it on a computer monitor? Now, you need to learn about your audience, as I said, and you can do this with an audience profile sheet, but you can do it in other ways as well. And you need to think about all the factors that I already outlined in the previous slides. But there are some, as I said, more organic ways. But all of these are research-based strategies to get to know about your audience. You can interview people who are stakeholders in the use of the creation of the content that you're creating. You can read about your audience online. You can read what your audience has written, such as in the books example, content that you might be able to access through a LinkedIn page, for example. If you were doing research on me, you might come across articles that I've written or books that I've written, and you might read those to know the kinds of things that are important to me. You can look at the content that somebody has created. If they are known for game design, you might use some of the games that they have created. If they create content online on a YouTube channel, you would watch some of that content. That is a way of analyzing their social media, but you can also look at their other social media, their Twitter, their Facebook. This gives you a lot of information about your audience. It's really important, as I mentioned earlier in this slideshow, to consider cross-cultural variables. So there are many simple and surface variables that differ across cultures, but there are others that are beneath the surface, and those are more difficult to detect. You need to carefully consider both, and your chapter dedicates many pages to discerning what these differences are. And these not only shape the textual content you create, but how you use color, how you use design, and how you use graphics in your documents and visual communications. So your book also shares with you a list of verbs that identify purpose. So these can help you hone in on what your own purpose is for creating content, but this can also help you to analyze documents. When you ask of the document what its purpose is it to persuade? Is it to inform? Is it to motivate? You need to think about what the appropriate verb is for the document that you are viewing or creating. So there's an activity at the end of chapter 5 that you're going to be doing in the discussion board. You're going to be creating a document, which I would prefer that you save as PDFs just because it will be a more manageable file size. And what you're going to do is you're going to analyze the ways in which large organizations target audience. If it's a large computer manufacturer, you know, of course, Apple, for example, targets many different audiences across their line of products. So somebody who might buy a certain kind of Apple computer would be different than somebody who would buy a different kind. It really depends. Do you want a laptop? Do you want a desktop? Do you want one that is a very, very powerful machine, or just one for a more casual user? Of course, this happens with gaming systems, with cell phones, with all kinds of technologies, ranging from cars to anything that you can think of, basically, that is a product of a large consumer-oriented corporation. So I'm going to show you some examples, but you have to pick a company and you have to pick 3 different web pages from their website, their own website, that showcases 3 of their different products that have different audiences. So beneath each image, your screenshots, you're going to include the name of the page, the audience that you believe it's targeting, and the purpose. So I'm going to show you 3 examples coming right up. So here we have a student who chose Microsoft, and you'll see that the pages that this student chose were one that is a parent's overview, the next one is the educator's overview, and the next one is for the Surface, the product called the Surface. So you can see how these 3 pages have a alignment of design. They have a rectangular banner image, and then they have text on that image. So that creates a uniformity of brand across all of these products. But as this student does a very astute job of determining, they create the images and the text on the page to persuade different audiences, so subgroups of their main audience, to be attracted to these individual products. So this student does an excellent job of succinctly naming the page and honing in on who the audience is, and then writing a nice few sentence paragraph about how they fulfill the purpose of the page. What do they do? And it's a great idea in this part of the assignment to provide examples of the language that's used on the page and to describe in words what is shown on the screen, and go into greater detail about why that is persuasive and why that helps this corporation fulfill their purpose vis-a-vis this audience. This is another student's example. They chose here to focus in the first image on a Chromebook. They have name of page, audience, and purpose. The next one, the name of page is Digital Storm, custom gaming computers and gaming PCs. You can see that the screenshot was so big that it split across pages. And then the last one here is precision workstations. Now, these are a little bit more diffuse than the first example, which was 3 clear products from Microsoft. However, these all come from the same organization, which does qualify appropriately for this assignment. But you'll notice that this student gives much slimmer analyses of purpose. So this is not quite as strong as an example as the previous one. Finally, I wanted to show you at the end of this video a student who kind of misunderstood what the assignment was asking. So you see the first example is from newegg.com, the next is from tigerdirect.com, and the third is from microcenter.com. Now, these are online vendors that sell products from a lot of different manufacturers. In the first image, you see a variety of chairs, and the next you see a variety of different laptop computers. You'll see that we're not comparing apples to apples here, and we're also not honing in on 3 examples of the targeting of different audiences by a single corporation, whether that's IBM, whether that's Microsoft, whether that is Apple, or another kind of vendor like some vendor of cell phones or another in-home technology. So this student kind of missed the boat on honing on the right kind of organization. Basically, these just show, you might see something like this on an Amazon page where lots of different products are aggregated together by a vendor. So we can't totally know, for example, what the audience-oriented persuasive techniques were of the creator of these technologies originally. So this was kind of a miss, because this is basically just focusing in on advertising these products and their prices. It's not exactly a persuasive, well-honed strategy on the part of the corporation. I hope that my explanation here has shown you why this misses the boat, and this is a success story in terms of this assignment that is due in week 5. Good luck with it. And I hope this video has helped you hone in on some key concepts from chapter 5.